The Florida Gators fall to 0-1 to start the basketball season in what was supposed to be their back-to-back campaign. 93-87 loss to Arizona. 0-1 can only go up from here, right?
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. I am Brandon Olsen. Not Victory Monday, not a happy Monday. The Florida Gators lost to the Arizona Wildcats 93-87. In a game that was, it didn't feel like as much of a Todd Golden game, right? In the sense of, Todd Golden teams, they're going to shoot threes. They shot a lot of threes, just didn't make them at all. I think that there were quite a few things in this game that were concerning and we expected, a couple that were concerning and we didn't really expect. I don't think that anybody anticipated freshman Koa Pete going off for what felt like 1,000 points. It was 30, but it felt like 1,000. And yeah, Florida just struggled in a lot of areas where they didn't last year. And this was the thing all off season. We spoke about it, myself and Leaf Tulane from Locked On Wildcats. We spoke about it on Friday's crossover that we did to preview this game. That, for Florida, the offense is going to be different this year. You don't replace Walter Clayton Jr. You don't replace Will Richard. You don't replace Elijah Martin as a unit. You don't replace Walter Clayton Jr. individually. Like there's no individual that can do that. He was the best guard in the country last year. You don't replace that with one guy, right? But this game was sloppy, messy, ugly, and I think that the lineup that we saw to start this game, which is Boogie Fland, Xavier Lee, Thomas Haugh, Alex Condon, Ruben Chinyelu, I don't know if that's a very sustainable lineup at this point. Going into the year, and I'm not saying that to overreact to week one. I do think that, like the thumbnail of this is like, are they in trouble? They might be in trouble, right? If they're going to shoot 7 for 27 from three often, then yeah, they're in trouble. But I think that when I look at this lineup and I say, I don't know if this lineup is sustainable, I mostly look at it as Thomas Haugh, 27 points was nuts. He played a hell of a game, 7 for 13, 1 for 4 from got fouled like 43 times. It was crazy. I got to the free throw line 14 times, or shot 14 free throws. He was the only starter that I can say really showed up, right? Alex Condon didn't shoot well, turned the ball over a ton, which has been an issue for him. It was an issue for him last year. And I think a lot of people went, oh, well, he's hurt, so we're just going to give him that. Wasn't grace I wanted to give him because I felt like a lot of the turnovers that he had last year were mental errors. And I don't think that there are some mental errors. You could say, oh, he's overcompensating for this injury or whatever that may be. But it didn't really feel like that with Alex Condon's turnovers last year. Ruben Chinyelu, 4 points and a rebound and fouled out, and they got destroyed in the paint. So that was an awful game from him. Boogie Fland couldn't shoot at all. Defense, I thought Boogie did a good job defensively overall. 2 physical fouls, yeah, sure, but he got some steals for some turnovers. Got open looks from three, just didn't convert on them. And I'm not saying that, he just had a bad game, he's going to fix that. I don't know what that's going to be. Boogie didn't play a good game. Xavier Lee started off looking pretty smooth, right? Finished 5 for 17, 3 for 11 from three. Rough, right? Rough. But I don't know if this lineup is sustainable. He fouled out because they were calling ticky-tacky fouls. Adjust, right? Like if they're calling ticky-tacky fouls, you got to play softer there. He doesn't know how to play softer. And also, I don't care about, honestly, I don't care about the fouling out. You got one rebound. You were out there long enough to get more than one rebound. And so there's that. Refs, here's the thing. I know there's a lot of people in here that maybe this is one of your first times coming in here. I am never in my life going to accuse the refs. I'm not going to blame the refs on anything. You just faced a team that shot the ball from 3 5 times. You shot it 27 times from 3 and you lost that game. Like that was crazy. As far as, like free throws and fouls, Arizona shot 8 more free throws and Florida was intentionally fouling at some point. Like it wasn't a good game for Florida. We could just say that. I'm not going to overreact and say one game is bad. I will say that I do think that if you're going to be that bad defensively, where Koa Pete had 30, Jaden Bradley had 27, if you're going to let 2 guys go off on you like that, with the overwhelming majority of that work happening in the paint, I don't know why you would have this lineup still. And again, that's not me trying to be like, oh yeah, I'm overreacting to this. That's just me saying that if you're going to have essentially a 3 big lineup, right? We spoke about this immediately after the tournament last year, where I was like, look, if Thomas Haugh is coming back, I understand that he should play starter minutes, but I want him coming off the bench as the 4 still. I think he provides a lot of value there. And I think that what he did last year was incredible on the offensive glass. I want him at the 4, not because he can't play, but I think that when you're at the 3, you're required to run in transition more. You're required to run more. And I think that he's someone that's really good hanging out there, hanging out in the paint there, fighting on the glass. And so I think that, seeing a lineup of like Xavier Lee, Boogie Fland, CJ Ingram, Thomas Haugh, and Alex Condon, I think that'd be a good 5. You can't go 3 big, like you can't go 3 bigs, not do your job on the glass. If you can't shoot too, like what's the point? If your guards aren't getting open shots and converting them, and your bigs aren't doing their job protecting the paint you're not doing, like it's tough there. 5 threes, that means they drove the lane. Florida shot the ball 9 more times. It wasn't like this insane thing. Like Florida shot 8 less free throws. Arizona had Koa Pete shoot 11 for 18 without attempting a 3. And Jaden Bradley shot 9 for 14 without attempting a 3. Like they did a ton of damage in the paint. They did it. Like that's what it is. And you had Alex Condon, Ruben Chinilu, Micah Hanlogton. Like Condon and Hanlogton played a good amount. They were still getting scored on in the paint. Even when they weren't contesting shots, they weren't effective, or even when they were getting foul calls, they weren't effectively blocking shots. They weren't effectively changing shots. Florida had 2 blocks, and it was Thomas Haugh and CJ Ingram. This was a bad game to start the year. That's what it is. I'm not going to say this team's not going to be, a Sweet 16 team. I'm not going to say that from one game. I think that Todd Golden is a good enough coach to make adjustments and change things. I will say that I feel like this is a team that offensively kind of expected. I said that this was going to be a team that is going to really prioritize paint scoring, trying to get in there. I said that, I think that this, I'm sorry, I was reading one of the messages. That this is going to be a team that I don't think they're really built to come from behind often, because they're not. Like people could talk about the refs. People could talk about whatever you want to talk about. End of the day, you shot 7 for 27 from 3. There's really not that much to talk about. There's really not. End of the day, you gave up pretty good offensive rebounding percentage, especially in the first half. In the first half, Florida had like an offensive rebounding percentage of 18%. and Arizona had an offensive rebound percentage of 40%. Like, Florida didn't play well. I don't care to blame the refs. I don't care about saying, oh, yeah, like, how many times was Condon pushed from the back and not one time was it called a foul? Okay. Condon had 6 turnovers. You think I give a damn about that? Like, what was he doing that was positive? Not much. Like that's why, I know the refs were bad. My general assumption in every sport is that refs are bad. Refs suck everywhere. You're supposed to play well enough to offset the refs there. Nope. Like they didn't do that. And so that's where I stand out of, I get the refs were bad. I don't really care, especially when there are so many other areas where you failed and it just didn't pan out. And maybe that's on me for looking at it that way, but it's tough. Like it's tough to see. It's tough to say. Like, again, Florida had one more foul than Arizona. And Florida was fouling. Like Florida was playing incredibly aggressive defense, especially late. I don't care much for it. I can't say that I care much for blaming the refs or talking about how the refs had such an impact on this game when my team shot 7 for 27 from 3. I care way more about that. We'll talk more about that when we get back with Locked On Gators. College basketball is back, and I couldn't be more excited, right? You get to go watch your defending national champions hopefully pick up their first win at home. Maybe that's what they were waiting for, right? They just wanted a home game. That's all it was. You can use Game Time to do that, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. So what you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time. Just a couple taps. You can find amazing deals, great seats, any game you want nearby you. You can do it. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets or college basketball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, it's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. And the NBA is back. College basketball is back. The overhit for Florida in this game. No better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So even if you miss the start of the game or you want to just ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Keeps every game exciting, even if you're watching the National Blowout Association, especially if you do have a team making a late push, right? Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free with us in the podcast and on YouTube. And looking through the chat for this is always how we do it. Thank you, by the way, for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Same. Appreciate you. Yeah, we've got guys saying we know we were going to miss Walter Clayton Jr., but our guard play looked bad. I do think that guard play is something that with time will become cleaner, right? I do think guard play is something you can look at and say, yeah, it was really bad in the first game of the season, but I don't think that's necessarily unexpected. I think that offensively, there were open looks generated. You just didn't convert on those. I don't think that we look at, Xavier Lee and say, yeah, he's going to shoot 27% from 3 on the year. I don't think that we look at Boogie Flan and say he's not going to make a 3 this year. I don't think we look at Thomas Haugh and say, yeah, he's going to shoot 25% from 3 this year. I think that when you're talking about basketball, it is a long season. It is. It's a long season. You got lineups to try. You got lineups to figure out. You got a lot going on. I will say, I see the comment that says, this is why you don't get Ivy League transfers. Xavier won't pan out. That's just such bull. I just can't stand things like that. Of this is why you don't get a person from this league, this conference, this whatever. If that's how you're measuring whether or not someone's good or whether or not someone will be good, it's deeply flawed, and you're not actually measuring someone being good or not. You're just being lazy. That's all it is. That's like when people go like, oh, don't draft a quarterback from Ohio State or whatever it is. Like, it's nonsense like that. It just doesn't make sense. Scout the player, not the helmet, not the uniform, not the jersey. So I would say that. But like he played awful. I'm not talking about like 5 for 17 is awful. He shot awful. Not excusing it. I'm just saying it's not because he's from the Ivy League. He had a bad game. Like those numbers aren't sustainable in that sense. You know, they'll improve from there. I've really no doubt about that one. Other than that, when you look at the offense, like they're also going to have to figure out what Xavier Lee and Boogie Fland look like together, like as a unit there. You talk about what Xavier Lee did at Princeton. Again, I don't care what you're talking, like I don't care about if you're playing in the Ivy League or the SEC. If you're getting open looks, that's what I care about. Converting those open looks, Xavier Lee was a lot better previously than he was this year. Like the rim isn't bigger in the Ivy League. If you're getting open looks, you're getting open looks, and that's what matters. So he will be getting that. Boogie Fland, again, offensively, didn't really do much, didn't help. Sam said, I know that's not your actual name, but appreciate y'all taking Boogie Bland from us. Looking forward to our matchup. Woo Pig Suey. Florida's still going to beat that ass up and down the court. I'll let you know that right now. Like, nothing's changing for me. They'll figure things out. They'll get back. But this is a team where they need to figure out more consistent offense or more explosive offense, at least a little bit. And that'll probably come with some variance of more missed shots. But again, like basketball is a high variance sport. It is. And I know that saying something is high variance anything is the nerdiest saying you can hear. But it is. It like basketball is a high variance sport. Some nights your shots are just falling and you can't miss. Some nights you can't hit Jack Diddley. Some nights your opponents can't miss. Some nights your opponents can't hit anything. That just is what it is. And so I'm not really concerned with one game. I don't think one game is enough to say anything. Like I expect Xavier Lee to shoot better than 3 for 11. I expect Boogie when he gets those open threes, like the last one that he missed, especially, like I expect him to make those as time goes on. Expect him to do that. Urban Klavzar, someone that I think, I don't know. I'm still torn on him. I wasn't a big fan of his last year. Wasn't a big fan of what we saw this game from him. I don't know. I want to see more of CJ Ingram. I'll say that. I think that, and again, like he's also someone who I've said before, like I'm not sure what he's going to be as a shooter, but again, if you're going to have 3 bigs and you're still giving up offensive rebounds, you're still getting scored on in the paint, you still can't shoot, then you might as well go 2 bigs and 2 guards in a wing, and like CJ Ingram can be that. I think CJ Ingram's a good perimeter defender. I think maybe Koa Pete doesn't give up 30 or doesn't score 30 if you have a better perimeter defender on him there. So having Haugh at the 4, Condon at the 5, Boogie and Xavier in the starting lineup as the backcourt, and CJ Ingram as your small forward, like I think that's a good approach there. And so I think that would be a good look. And it's not to bash Ruben Chinilu, right? But didn't get the job done. Like it's as simple as that. Guys didn't get the job done. And yeah, we'll see what happens as time goes on. Again, like I know I've said like, oh, I don't expect them to shoot that poorly from 3. I also don't expect Thomas Haugh to get 14 free throw attempts per game. Like your offense needs to open up. Your defense needs to figure things out. Honestly, I'm more annoyed with the defense than the offense. I feel like all offseason, whenever I would talk about this basketball team, I go, you know what? Their offense is not going to be that explosive. They're not going to have that big comeback energy that you had with Walter Clayton Jr. Like they're going to be more consistent. And I feel like that's expected. That's what we're going to see. I didn't expect the defense giving up 57 points to 2 players. Didn't expect that. Expected, obviously, Xavier Lee and Boogie Fland to be better. Honestly, Alex Condon's 6 turnovers were maybe more disappointing. Micah Hanlogden worked his ass off on the glass. But this was, I think, a game that was uncharacteristic of what we'll see for the rest of the season. I don't think I don't think that's going to be common. I would like to see AJ Brown get some time off the bench. I'd rather see AJ Brown over Urban Clawjar. I think AJ Brown's a better shooter. I don't think either of them are going to be great defenders. I don't think either of them are really awesome ball handlers. So, yeah, I'd rather see AJ Brown than Urban Clawjar. Not a big fan of his. Wasn't a big fan of his last year. Alex Condon is someone that I'm still going to be harsh on. And I know last year a bunch of people were like, oh, you're being too hard on him. 6 turnovers is completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. This team needs to figure things out. They will figure things out. Like, I'm genuinely not too concerned about that. It was a bad showing. It just sucks that this was the first game and you had a bad showing, because that's the only thing that we have to judge you off of right now. And so it's not like there's a large sample size or anything, and your next game is against North Florida. So it's not like you're facing an awesome team there. But this team, they'll figure things out. This is still a good roster. Still believe in that roster. And Todd Golden has earned the shut up and believe in me credit. And so I will give him that. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever in the podcast and on YouTube. We will be back tomorrow morning with Brian Smith, talk some recruiting, talk some transfer portal, have some fun with it. Just saying, for Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI and swampsignal.substack.com if you want my written Florida Gators work. And I will see you all next time.